Hello, teacher. I'm talking about my lesson plan number 7. The topic is tag questions. I done for the grade 1st baccalaureate or 8th basic education. Duration of the class is 45 minutes. The proficiency level is elementary A2.2. The Common European Framework of Reference for Language CEFR is an international standard for describing language ability. The objectives during this lesson: students will be able to, for listening, will be able to identify the rising intonation and falling intonation sounds. For speaking, will be able to use rising intonation in tag questions and use falling intonation. For reading, will be able to recognize the correct form about tag questions. For writing, will be able to construct the sentences using the tag questions in positive and negative form. The methodology I use the directed method of teaching, which is sometimes called the natural method. It is often used in teaching foreign language, refrains from using the learner's native language and uses only the target language. And use the role play into the classroom and variety, a change of pace and opportunities for a lot of language production and also a lot of fun. And the strategies I use whole class work. The students participate in the class. And scaffolding English writing, matching instruction to language development. For anticipatory set, I talk and write on the board different sentences. For example, in simple present, I write she's Italian. For past simple, I was called yesterday. For past continuous, we were waiting at the station. In present perfect, they have been to Japan. For past perfect, she has forgotten his wallet. I'm right and talk about different sentences. And remember the structure of the different before of learn the topic, in this case, tag questions. For main teaching input, first I remember a little grammar about tag questions. For example, a questions tag is a question ended at the end of a sentence. Speakers use questions tags to make sure their information is correct or to seek argument. They consist of a statement and a tag. A negative tag is used with an affirmative statement, whereas a positive tag is used with a negative statement. When use intonation in questions tag, this point is very important because the students can learn different intonation. For example, when the speaker is adding tag question to his or her statement, she or he might increase or decrease the volume tone of his voice at the end. If the person is increasing his or her voice with the tag question, this is called rising intonation. If the tone is decreasing, this is called falling intonation. For example, in falling intonation, I have told you not to run, haven't I? The mother telling her son after her son falls. You love wearing my clothes, don't you? Stop wearing my clothes. It is a beautiful view, isn't it? And yet we are watching it. In a falling intonation, the speaker is not really asking a question. Rather, he or she is asserting what he thinks. The speaker is actually very confident and sure of asking a person to confirm, agree with what he or she is saying. For rising intonation, he didn't go to school yesterday, didn't he? Did he really go to school yesterday? Jack paid for the dinner, didn't not he? I hope he paid for the dinner, did he? You told her I wasn't go to the party, didn't you? Did you forget to tell her? In rising intonation, the speaker is not as confident of her statement, and she is asking the other person to find out about it. After that, I work on the book. I used the book English Unified General Baccalaureate, a student book and workbook. In a student book, complete the conversation, listen and check. Then complete the grammar chart, reflection on grammar. In English workbook, complete the different exercises related of tag questions. For clarification, check the answer of the book. For modeling, the examples teacher gives at the beginning of the class in anticipatory set, and the answer to the exercise will provide the students with clear, contextualized models of tag questions, which will show the students correct form and example of use in questions. For example, in she is Italian, isn't he? We are working tomorrow, aren't we? They live in London, don't they? The students can complete these sentences. For guided practice, students develop an activity which is about the complexion, a leather soap. I work with the worksheet and students complete the different sentences. For example, the first, you study English, don't you? They were busy, weren't they? It's 2 o'clock, isn't it? For independent practice, a student review the final game. After they write examples individually, and then they can share their ideas with their classmates. Because in a closing review or follow-up, we can play with the students. After that, I explain this game. For assessment, classwork participation, observation, and the live feedback based on the context and language. I explain a little about the game. First, divide the class in 2 teams. Have 1 student in front each team. Come to the front of the class and choose 1 card each one. I give different cards for each student, and students can create different sentences with these tag questions. The first student to write grammatically the correct sentences using a tag question. When the correct right is 1 point for their team. Here, 2 teams, 18-1, 18-2. For example, don't you write, you live downtown, don't you? And complete the sentences. For example, is it? The boss isn't coming, is it? We realize the final game is very enjoyable for the students and very practice this class. Thank you, teacher.